Well, hello to all my loyal moviegoers out there. Jeffrey Michael here, and welcome to another robust edition of Jeffrey Michael's Movie Reviews Extravaganza. In this video, I will review the movies that were released on January the 19th, 2018. The first movie I will review is 12 Strong, rated R. It stars Chris Hemsworth, Michael Shannon, Michael Pena, and was the directorial debut of Nikolai Fuglsik. I hope I pronounced that right. Anyway, 12 Strong is also subtitled The Declassified True Story of the Horse Soldiers. And that is because it's inspired by a true story that was classified for many years and only recently has been declassified. And so they thought, hey, this is a great story to make a movie, let's do it. And so the movie starts off in 2001. Everybody remembers where they were, right? When 9/11 happened? I knew where I was anyway. So it starts off by showing a bunch of soldiers, all in different positions in their life, and where they were when they turned on their TVs and they saw the World Trade Center was engulfed in flames and smoke. And all of them thought the exact same thing at the same time. I'm going off to, fight for my country right now. And so one of the soldiers, Captain Mitch Nelson, played by Chris Hemsworth, wants to lead a team. Initially, he's stopped because he has an office job as a soldier, but eventually he's able to become the team leader of 12 soldiers, codenamed Task Force Dagger. They're shipped over to Afghanistan to help the Northern Alliance, a bunch of Afghan soldiers led by General Abdul Dostum. And they're there to aid them in fighting against the Taliban forces. Ooh, this is a big deal here. And so they're all ready to go. Okay, where are our vehicles? Oh, no vehicles. Terrain too rough. We use horses. Horses? They even know how to ride a horse? And that's how they became known as the Horse Soldiers. Now, overall, I thought this was a pretty good movie. I mean, the cast was great, and the action scenes were really well done. And also, they had such great honorable intentions in making this movie, telling a story that deserved to be told, for everyone. Wasn't perfect, though. I mean, I thought the execution was kind of generic and by the numbers. And there wasn't much substance. I mean, I kind of wish there's 12 soldiers and we only get to know a couple of them. I kind of wish we got to know all of them because, only 12 people. You got to listen to all their stories and tell their stories. And also, I thought it oversimplified the story a bit. I was expecting a little bit more grit. It's a war movie, a little bit more blood, a little bit more action, explosions, kind of like Black Hawk Down. But, it was still a really good movie overall. I thought it did a great job of honoring, those who have fought for our country and those who are still fighting for our country today. Overall, I would give this movie a B-. It's a well-done, action war movie. I just wish it was, a little bit more, substance to it. But if you really want to see a good, war movie that, honors, soldiers who fight for our country, then go and see it. I recommend it then. So the next movie I will review is Den of Thieves, rated R. It stars Jared Butler, Pablo Schreiber, O'Shea Jackson Jr., 50 Cent, and is the directorial debut of Christian Gudegast. These directors' names are always so hard to pronounce. Anyway, Den of Thieves is set in Los Angeles. We're actually told in the opening minute that Los Angeles is the bank robbing capital of the world. And we find that out in the opening scene when an armored truck is surrounded by a group of robbers called themselves the Outlaws, and they're led by Merriman, who's played by Pablo Schreiber, and his right-hand man, played by 50 Cent. And these robbers, after getting their armored truck, they're constantly throughout the movie pursued by a cop, or rather, sheriff, named Nick O'Brien, who's trying to implicate them. He's played by Jared Butler. Unfortunately, that's an early warning sign for your movie when Jared Butler's in it, because all he seems to choose anymore are B or C grade movies. Just like last year's Geostorm, that was a disaster. Anyway, so this Nick O'Brien, he's not a great cop. He's going through divorce and he has a couple drunken asshole moments. And, he's trying to implicate these guys. He has no proof, so he manages to kidnap Donnie, who's their driver, and unfortunately finds out that Donnie, has nothing to tell him because they don't let him in on any of their secrets. But he still wants to use Donnie as like a mole, as information. And Donnie finds out that they're they are all planning to rob the Federal Reserve Bank, Los Angeles. And that happens in the third act of the movie. Um, Overall, it's a classic cops and robbers movie. And this movie, tries to be like other great heist movies like, Heat or The Usual Suspects. Unfortunately, I feel this movie was more like the inept drunken cousin of those movies. And that's because, it tries, but it just doesn't land anywhere. I mean, it's a 2 hour and 20-minute movie, first of all, and if you're going to make your movie 2 hours and 20 minutes, it has to be interesting, because aside from the first opening scene with that, that armored car robbery, and then the third act is mostly their heist, takes up most of the third act, and then in between, it's just dull. It's long, repetitive, and dull. I mean, for the longest time, it's just a bunch of talking happening. I mean, that's fine. I mean, I like movies where they do like my talk. Those are some of my favorite movies, but if you're going to have those scenes, you gotta have to make it interesting. But it doesn't really happen. I mean, the people who are thieves, I mean, aside from breaking, obviously breaking the law, they're not actually seem all that bad. They're kind of likable. Meanwhile, Nick O'Brien is kind of an asshole at times and repulsive, and you're wondering, who am I rooting for here again? Yeah. And also, the actual heist that takes place in most of the third act of the movie is actually really well done. It's suspenseful, but there's pretty ludicrous at times. And the ending, there's an ending twist too. But at that point, you're like, oh my God, it doesn't make any sense. It just goes right past plausibility. You got to be kidding me. What? That made no sense. I mean, there's good intentions in the movie, and then there's a numerous amount of flaws. Overall, I would have to give this movie a C+. It's, got some nice scenes to it, but most of the time it's just long and boring, and I found myself doing this a lot of the movie. I mean, when that movie makes you do that, there's a problem. I can't recommend this movie to anyone who wants to see it. I mean, if I were robbed at gunpoint and told to watch this movie again, I probably would try to fight it. That's no good. Anyway, moving on. So the last film that was released on January the 19th was Forever My Girl, rated PG. It stars Alex Rowe, Jessica Roth, John Benjamin Hickey, and was directed by Bethany Ashton Wolf. Oh, finally, a director's name I can actually pronounce here. Anyway, Forever My Girl is based on the novel by Heidi McLaughlin. It's about a guy who literally leaves his bride at the altar, literally. And he goes off to pursue his dream of being a country music superstar. And 8 years go by, and he goes back to town for a funeral for a friend. And he finds out he has a daughter he never even knew existed. Oh, God. Unfortunately, ladies and germs, I didn't get a chance to see this movie because the professional critics have called it a low-rate Nicholas Sparks film or a slightly better Lifetime movie. And I was like, that's all I need to know. No, thank you. But seriously, though, if you want to see a sappy, treacly, romantic movie, knock yourself out. Go ahead. Just not for me, thanks. I mean, I'm the kind of guy who rolls his eyes during The Notebook. I prefer romantic movies like Phantom Thread or Call Me By Your Name that are both out now, so I would recommend those two, but not this one. Too sappy. Here we go again with the recap. No, I'm just kidding. 12 Strong, B-. Well-cast wartime film that does a decent job of honoring the true story of the horse soldiers. See it. Den of Thieves, C+. Overlong, dull, boring cops versus robbers film that tries to be like Heat but fails miserably. I wouldn't recommend this one at all. And finally, Forever My Girl. No grade since I didn't see it, but if you really want to see a sappy, cloying, romantic film, then this one is for you, but just not for me. And that'll do it for another edition of Jeffrey Michael's Movie Reviews Extravaganza. Until next time, happy movie watching, everybody. See you next time.